We have some new inventory data from Cox Automotive, and some automakers have a lot of inventory, while some automakers have very little. But before we dive into that, let's go over some overarching data. As of earlier this month, total inventory is at 2.99 million units. The average day supply is 89 days, which was a drop from the 96-day supply from last month, and the average vehicle listing price is $48,316, which was slightly lower from last month. And tax season is off to a strong start, with the average tax return seeing an increase of 7% year over year, which is bolstering consumers to spend more money on things like cars. Toyota, Ford, Hyundai, Honda, Kia, and Lexus were the 6 best-selling automakers last month. But interestingly enough, despite the fact that these automakers are considered the best-selling automakers, some of them still have inventory piling up. Let's take a look at Ford. Ford was one of the top-selling automakers last month, but despite this, sales for them were still down 7.7% year over year. And despite being one of the best-selling automakers, they have inventory literally piling up on their dealership lots. And as we sit here today, they have a 138-day supply, which is well above the industry average of 89-day supply. And Ford is the automaker with the second largest amount of inventory reported by Cox Automotive. The only automaker with more inventory is Mini. We compare this to Lexus, one of the automakers with some of the most consistent lowest inventory for the last few years, and is also one of the best-selling automakers of last month. And they are sitting here at a 39-day supply, which is the lowest inventory of any other automaker, less than half the industry average, and is 71% less than Ford. And unlike Ford, Lexus was actually up in sales by 1% year over year last month. We compare this to Hyundai, an automaker that is again one of the top 6 best-selling automakers last month, but is also in the top 5 highest inventory automakers with 133-day supply, which is well above the industry average. And similar to Lexus, who has seen some year-over-year sales growth, Hyundai has as well, but they've seen a 3% year-over-year increase. You compare this with Honda, an automaker with the 3rd lowest amount of inventory with 65-day supply, which I gotta admit is a huge improvement from this time last year. But despite the fact that Honda was one of the top 6 best-selling cars last month, they were still down in sales by 3% year over year, showing that even for brands that are considered to be good-selling cars and ones that are relatively affordable, they are seeing a slump in sales. Now, even with tax season ramping up and money hitting the pockets of Americans, vehicle affordability is still a major challenge. By looking at the vehicle inventory, you can very clearly see what demographic automakers are catering to: the wealthy.
These people aren't just rich, okay? They're crazy rich. These people are so posh and snobby, they're snotty.
In February, 41% of inventory in the highest price category, which is $80,000 or above, 41% of this was actually priced at $100,000 or above, which is absolutely insane. Like this Lexus LX 600, which is priced at $118,000. And according to Kelley Blue Book, through the month of February, more than 52,000 vehicles transacted at a price of over $100,000. This is up from 46,000 vehicles transacted at above $100,000 for the same period in 2024. This same period of time in 2020, only 12,000 vehicles over $100,000 were transacted. That is insane. But despite how disheartening all of this is, it sort of makes sense, because in today's day and age, cars that feel like normal everyday cars are priced well above $100,000. Like, we have this Lexus LX 600, which is obviously incredibly nice. The interior looks extremely nice too. But whenever you take a look at the MSRP of this, it is $113,410. And once you add the nano tint to it, which is $595, that brings the grand total to $114,005. Now, this car is extremely nice, but is it worth $118,000? Well, in my opinion, absolutely not. Take a look at this Bronco Raptor behind me, which is technically priced at below $100,000, but with an MSRP of $98,940. Not to mention some dealer add-ons, which many vehicles on this dealership lot have. You are looking at well above $100,000 out the door once you're done with this deal. We have this F-150 Raptor, which, don't get me wrong, is an incredibly nice truck. In fact, I would say that in my opinion, the F-150 Raptor is hands down the best looking truck on the road. And while this tent is incredibly dark, hopefully you can see it, the MSRP is $115,000. Have another 6-figure Raptor. And I mean, who are we kidding? This dealership lot is full of 6-figure, normal, everyday cars. And I know we're technically not talking about Genesis in this video, but this Genesis G90 behind me, though it is incredibly nice, it is insanely expensive. And again, I want to recognize that I know that this car is very nice. It is no doubt fully loaded, but it is also $102,000, $102,105 to be exact. And HP likes it. Said it many times, who is buying these incredibly expensive cars? On the flip side, cheap cars like the sub $20,000 vehicle is literally going extinct, and available unsold inventory of vehicles with an average listing price at or below $20,000 declined 17% month over month, with the only car in the entire car market left that fits that bill being the Mitsubishi Mirage, which this is not. And inventory levels here didn't fall because cars like the Mirage are flying off dealership lots, because Mirage sales are down year over year, which again, this is not a Mirage, which is not good news for the sub $20,000 car. Even cars that are considered to be more mid-tier economical vehicles are extremely expensive, like this Honda Accord, which has a total vehicle price of $40,450. Or this car behind me, which is priced at $37 grand. And you know that vehicles are getting expensive. Whenever I look at this car, see it's $37,000 and think to myself, that's not actually that bad. One of the more extreme examples over here at Honda is the Honda Ridgeline behind me, which I would have expected for this car to be priced similar to a Maverick, but this car right here is priced at $46,875, which is about the same as a cheap F-150. Now, which one would you rather have, a Honda Ridgeline or an F-150? One of Honda's more affordable vehicles is this Honda CRH, which I would say is like a Chevy Trax competitor. And this car feels really reasonable, priced at $30,805. And again, reasonable is a bit subjective because a few years ago, $30,000 for this car would feel very high, but in today's car market, it feels quite good. Which shows us that the car market is slowing down because the general public finds cars to be too unaffordable. And while ultra low budget cars like the Mirage, for example, are seeing a dip in sales because their target audience simply can't afford any new car, a sub $20,000 car or not, the good news is that car prices are going down. The bad news is car prices are still high and vehicle affordability still isn't good, even with vehicle incentives improving. Even though month over month, vehicle incentives technically got worse. Ultra expensive cars purchased by the wealthy, well, those cars are selling quite well, at least whenever you compare the sales volumes to years past. But the real question is, can the wealthy support the car market long enough for the general public to catch up? I don't know. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.